Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkars Tavern blog. So, I have a screenshot of a small, itty bitty piece of the Arduin Trilogy, and I thought this was pretty interesting. And then there's a whole section on alignment, but I thought this could use a little further reflection. Evil is a measure not of how bad a person is, but of what the prevailing society says is bad. It's perspective, right? If you have a church that is in schism, all right, both sides that are in schism will see the other side as heretics. The other side is evil, right? Both see themselves as good, as true. Yeah, well, societies change with time and geographical distance. Okay. This is like norms in our society. What was acceptable in 1900, what was acceptable in 1950, what was acceptable in 2000 might not be acceptable in 2024 according to the new societal norms. Some of those, what was normal and considered correct and right, now under new societal norms can be looked at by some as that was evil, that was wrong, that was, you know, not good. So, if your government says that pornography is evil and you believe in what your government says, then to you, pornography is evil. You remember, too, that at one time it was evil for a person to be a Christian, literally against the law. They were put to death in the early times of the faith by the Romans. Again, at least that's what the Romans believed. So, and I'll be one of the first ones to say, hey, orcs are an evil trope, and why is the current game saying, well, all orcs aren't necessarily evil? Well, you know what? That's probably true. There's always the exception that proves the rule. But for an orc not to be evil, they have to be removed from their society, right? Because their society doesn't see orcs don't see themselves as evil. It's the other intelligent races that see them as evil. They likely see themselves as good or impartial, or this is what their culture says is the right thing. And elves, dwarves, halflings, humans, gnomes, these are all miscreants. These are all creatures that are misguided. And I think if you run a campaign along those levels where evil isn't necessarily boogeyman evil, but evil is stuff that your society, your character society, the PC's societies see as unlawful, see as improper, see as rituals or something that is so against their faith. Think about it. Because I remember an article in Dragon magazine, probably back in the 80s. I think it was before it hit double digits. So it's probably in the number wise 80s and 90s of Dragon magazine. There was an article detailing, I think it was St. Cuthbert's Church, and how there were two different churches worshiping the same deity. And these churches both saw each other as heretics. And if somebody from Church A, who followed St. Cuthbert, and saw St. Cuthbert as, I guess, lawful good, and the other one saw him as lawful neutral, their protection from evil spells would work against the other church because they were opposed to each other. And again, evil is a matter of perspective. Now, you can play D&D, whereas, hey, listen, there's evil incarnate. And that's certainly how we've played it. But if you're going to make it a little bit deeper, then realize that creatures that are evil rarely see themselves as evil. Maybe demons and devils, but they'll think that what they're doing it might be evil in the outside world, but they see it as the right thing to do. Okay? They see it as their proper authority. And I think that's something that we need to, keep in mind. Now, Swords and Wizardry Light and Continual Light didn't have alignment. We're talking about bringing alignment into Blades and Sorcery Core. But if we do bring alignment into Blades and Sorcery Core, I want alignment that's kind of like on this level. Okay, it's alignment based upon perspective to some extent and cultural norms. And I'm going to see if we can work that into it. If not, it's easy enough to leave out, or just go with law, chaos, and the vast majority not lining up on either side of the extremes. But let me know what you think. How do you see evil in your campaign? Is it like this absolute, or is it because there are cultural differences, cultural norms? And I'm not just saying, oh, one side eats curry and one side doesn't. No, I'm talking about one side sees, I don't know, dealing with a slight as something that requires physical violence to correct, and the other side sees a slight as well. I should get a verbal apology. All right, I'd like to know how you would handle this. I'd like to know your thoughts, and I'd like to know. By the way, Arduin Bloody Arduin is in the works. I think it's a year or two out, but I want to know how they're going to handle alignment. I got to reach out to George and find out, because I think that's going to be, and it's an interesting take on how Arduin looks at it. And I think you should be looking at it that way too. All right, folks. On that note, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I will be back with Bad Mike tomorrow night. We will have a special guest, Jeff Talanian. We may also have a Jim Kitchen. I think Jim intends to drop in for a bit. But Jeff is always a great guest. Jeff is known for Astonishing Swordsman and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, now simply known as Hyperborea. He's got some adventures that are hitting Kickstarter. Always a good time. So, folks, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. That's Wednesday. Looking at my watch, the 22nd of May, 2024. All right, folks. God bless. I'll catch you all later.